I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with your 3-minute cattle market update for Friday, January the 29th, where we've really enjoyed an obedient board this week so far, and it hasn't acted up too much or acted down too much, but just been pretty steady and real supportive of the market. It's kind of amazing, or maybe just a coincidence, that since they're out at NCBA meeting at San Diego and they're discussing how volatile the board has been and how it really is not supporting the hedges, what we're looking at, how moderate the board's really been this week. And not sure if they don't just want to kind of calm it down this week and then not spoil the party, but that remains to be seen. But to be truthful though, a lot of the attendees at the NCBA meeting are mostly hat and no cattle. And they sure didn't miss them Wednesday at the big volume feeder cattle auctions, because they were really wild. And we'll talk about that in a minute. But live cattle futures here middle of the week. Wednesday, February contract was up $2.70. Thursday was down 30 cents to end the day Thursday at 135.42. Feeder cattle, January contract, which is really unsteady there, but it's just moving in little bitty bits because it's trying to close up with the CME feeder cattle index, so it can't really do a whole lot. So the January contract on Wednesday was down 17 cents, but March was up 67. Then on Thursday, your January contract was back up 37 cents, with March down 50 cents. But the spot market for January ended the day on Thursday at 161.30. Your CME feeder cattle index is 160.96, so they're getting pretty close together here at maturation of the contract. But no fat cattle trade, hardly at all, less than 850 so far for the week. Had a few in the northern plains at 210 dressed. Had that late trade last week, and a lot of the feedlots that I talked to this week said on Friday they didn't get their phone calls till after 6 o'clock in the evening on that late week trade last week. But still pretty good volume they had. Your actual steer carcass weights continue to come down. The latest that's come out on the actuals, 898 pounds on the average steer weight, carcass weight there, and that's the last time it's been under 900 pounds since late last summer. Your slaughter was pretty good so far for the week, 444,000, which is 4,000 more than last week and just 5,000 less than the same week a year ago. Your big Wednesday sales, your high volume feeder cattle sales, were all sharply higher. Talking like El Reno, Dodge City, Kansas, we're talking Kearney, Nebraska, St. Joe, Missouri, all of them just sharply higher. El Reno had around 6,600 head on Wednesday there. They call feeder cattle $5 to $8 higher, spots 10. Calves mostly $10 higher, spots 20 to 30 higher. Look at your Cattle Market Central market report out of El Reno there. You can see how much higher those markets are, and just very impressive there. But your yearlings weren't near as much higher on Thursday as they were on Wednesday. That's mostly due because the market was better late last week, after we'd seen some support, than it was last Wednesday. And so, you're always comparing those sales to the week before, but your Thursday sales aren't going to be called near as much higher as your Wednesday sales, because last Thursday was pretty decent. But also it seemed like these guys, cattle feeders that are buying feeder cattle, the big yearling feeder cattle or the big heavy calves going right on feed, it seemed like your guys kind of just reined that market in just a little bit on Thursday. It got pretty wild on Wednesday, and Thursday's markets were not quite as impressive. If you look at Pratt, Kansas there, which was on a Thursday sale, still had a good market there, but actually some of those yearlings and feeder cattle going right into the feedlots weren't quite as high. Look at some individual sales on Cattle Market Central. Out of Presho, South Dakota at 4:30 late in the afternoon on Thursday, had a load of 732 pound steers, bring 167.50. And look there at Pratt, Kansas on some big calves, had 79 head of them, weighed 598, and the calf deal was still pretty good, 193, which is an awful good price. That's 3 minutes, and we'll talk to you next week.